पुढे येथे आणि सर्व्हिस केलेली आहे. प्लस MIDC मध्ये होते. त्याच्यानंतर सर आम्ही 1991 मध्ये डायरेक्ट SC म्हणून जॉईन केला, क्लास 1 ऑफिसर म्हणून. कार्यालयाच्या दृष्टीने पण सरांना एकूण अनुभव त्यांनी सरांनी पुणे, सोलापूर, कल्याण आणि मुंबई अशा विविध कार्यालयात काम केलेलं आहे. पुणे येथे सरांना चेअरमन अपॉइंट केलं होतं आणि जवळजवळ सरांनी त्या काळात 75 सेमिनार कंडक्ट केलेली आहे GST आणि याच्या विविध विषयांवर. तर मी सरांना विनंती करतो की त्यांनी आपलं सेशन स्टार्ट करावं.
नमस्कार. मला जे दिलेलं आहे, should I speak in English or in Marathi? I can speak. I'll speak in English. Subject which has been given to me proper is allied laws. Some allied laws have already been taken by Shri Gorde sir, and the rest will be taken by me. So the first subject which I have chosen is Works Contract Act. As you all might be knowing that in simple terms, works contract is sale of goods plus labor. So initially, because the state governments have been allotted only the power to tax the sale of goods, so there were many problems initially. For example, now construction of building, it involves both sale of goods as well as labor. Both are involved. So there were a lot of conflicting judgments whether the works contract could be taxed by the state governments or not. And the final decision which was there, or the outstanding decision which is there, that is of Gannon Dankarli versus this. So state of Madras versus state of Madras. So in Gannon Dankarli, ultimately the Supreme Court held that the state governments do not have the powers to tax works contract. So because of this, Constitution was amended, and the 46th Constitutional Amendment Bill was passed. So Clause 29A, Article 366, what does it say? That amendment, the basic amendment, tax on the sale or purchase of goods includes first, a tax on the transfer otherwise than in pursuance of a contract of property of any goods for cash, deferred payment, or other valuable consideration. So if there is a transfer, then that would be considered as part of sale of goods. Then the main which is concerning works contract is a tax on the transfer of property in goods, whether as goods or in some other form involved in the execution of works contract. So this is the basic, what would say, power which has been granted to the state government by Article Clause 29A, Article 366 of the Constitution. Then the third one, a tax on the delivery of goods or hire purchase. So that was also initially not included in the sale of goods. So that was also brought into the tax net. Then a tax on the transfer of right to use any goods. So lease tax which is there. So even lease tax became a part of the powers of the state government by this clause. Then a tax on the supply of goods by any unincorporated association or body of persons to a member thereof for cash, deferred payment, or other valuable consideration. So sale to club, sale by the club to its members, etc. So that is one of the powers which has been granted. And ultimately the last a tax on the supply by way or as part of any service or in any other manner whatsoever of goods being food or any other article for human consumption. So restaurant sale which is there. So even that includes what you'd say sale of goods as well as labor. So that is also brought under the tax net by this 46 Constitutional Amendment Bill. Now, work contract which is there, I have considered the part beyond what you say VAT Act. Prior to VAT Act also it was there, but I have not considered it because there will be a limited number of cases and limited time is being given to me of 1 hour in which I have to cover 5 acts. So that is why I have covered only the what you'd say part which is beyond 2005 under the VAT Act works contract provisions which are there. Now this constitutional validity of this bill was upheld by the Supreme Court in the case of Builders Association. So that is one judgment which is there, which upheld the constitutional amendment which was there. Then there is one more judgment. This view is further reiterated by the Honorable Supreme Court in another judgment of the Constitutional Bench in the case of Gannon-Dunkerley. So ultimately, the Constitutional Bench upheld the 46th Constitutional Amendment Bill by this judgment of Gannon-Dunkerley and Company versus State of Rajasthan. Now, this I have given you the definition which is there in the MVAT Act regarding works contract. The transfer of property in goods. Sale means the sale of goods, that first part is there, but the part which is related to the works contract, that part I have highlighted. The transfer of property in goods, whether as goods or in some other form. So whether the transfer of property takes place in that same form or in some other form. For example, what you say, sand, then pebbles, etc. They are converted into cement concrete. So transfer of property takes place in the form of cement concrete. So whether in the same goods or whether in some other form, in whatever way transfer of property takes place, that will be involved in the execution of a work contract, including an agreement for carrying out for cash, deferred payment or other valuable consideration, the building, construction, manufacture, processing, fabrication, erection, installation, fitting out, improvement, modification, repair or commissioning of any movable or immovable property. So these all are included in the works contract. Whereas under the GST Act, if you try to understand, only the part which is related to immovable property that is included under the GST Act, under works contract definition. Whereas under the MVAT Act, both movable as well as immovable property both were included in this works contract. So examples of works contract: composite contract for maintenance, service, repairs, improvement, alteration, amendment, mixing, blending, processing, servicing of any immovable or movable property, construction work like building, road, dam, canals, jetties, treatment plants, etc. So all these are works contract. Now, what are the methods of the computation of tax under the MVAT Act for works contract? So there are two methods basically, because the basic intention is what? The total contract value, you have to divide it into part which is related to goods. That only can be taxed by the state government. So to find out that part which is related to the sale of goods, there are two methods. So the first method is determination of the sale price of goods under Rule 58. Now there are two methods in that also. First is actual expenses method. That means the actual expenditure which is done by the contractor, that which is related to labor, you try to find out from there, and the remaining portion which is there, that will be related to the sale of goods, that will be taxed. The second part is fixed percentage. So some contracts have been given that related to that the labor percentage will be this much. So let us say 20% is decided for 25% is decided for construction contract. So if the contract value is 100 rupees, from there if you deduct 25 rupees, 25%, the balance 75 rupees which is there, that will be treated as the sale price for goods. So that is the fixed percentage table method. Then composition schemes have been designed for works contract also. So 42 subsection 3 and 42 subsection 3A which are there. There are two composition schemes. One, in that construction contracts have been defined. So construction contracts will be given a certain percentage. The whole contract will be treated as a composition contract, and the whole contract price will be taxed at the rate which has been decided by the government by the notification. So construction contracts, non-construction contracts. So what are construction contracts? That will also be defined by the notification, and the other contracts will be non-construction contracts. So there will be two tax rates. One is for construction contract, one will be for non-construction contract. The second part is builder developer. So builder developers are also brought into the tax net because of the judgment in K. Raheja Development Corporation, because of which this definition of works contract, it was brought because of that judgment only, K. Raheja Development Corporation. So builder developers have also been treated as a separate category because the property in the goods which takes place while suppose now if the builder is building this building, so when the agreement will take place, before that agreement takes place, he is the owner, he is constructing the building, everything, and after the agreement takes place between the customer and the builder, then the transfer of property is taking place in the goods which are put in that building. So that is what any builder developer. So builder developer have also been taxed in two methods that we shall see afterwards. So what are the expenses which have been granted? So these expenses which are put in the rules, Rule 58, Sub-Rule 1, that is because of the judgment of the Builders Association of India. So whatever the Supreme Court has said that these are the deductions which could be granted, all those deductions have been put into our rules. So the first is labor and service charges for the execution of work. That is the first deduction. The second deduction is amount paid by way of price for subcontract. So if subcontracts are given by the builder to somebody, so that subcontract price for which the subcontractor is held liable or he is paying the tax, that will be deducted from his price, from the taxable price. Then charges for planning, designing and architect fees. So if you try to understand, all these are related to services only, because the service part has to be taken out from that component, and the balance portion which is there, जे काही राहतं ते फक्त म्हणजे वस्तूची विक्री आपण असं गृह धरू. Then B, charges for obtaining on hire or otherwise machinery and tools for the execution of the work contract. So if hire charges are paid, that is also a service that is related to labor. So that needs to be deducted from the sale price. Then cost of consumables such as water, electricity, fuel, in which property is not transferred. So water, electricity or some other consumables which may be there. In this there is no transfer of property. That will also be deducted from the contract value. Then cost of establishment of the contractor to the extent it is relatable to the supply of the said labor and services. Then other similar expenses which are relatable to the said supply of labor and services, where the labor and services are subsequent to the said transfer of property. Whatever is mentioned in the judgment, exactly the same wording have been used in our rules. Then the last is profit earned by the contractor to the extent it is relatable to the supply of labor and services. So all this part, all these deductions when they will be deducted from the contract price, what will be remaining will be the taxable value which is related to the sale of goods, and that will be taxed in the ratio of the purchases of goods. In the ratio of the purchases of goods. For example, if the total purchase are 100 rupees, out of 100 rupees, if 5% items are 50 and 12.5% rate are 50, that means half, then the taxable value will also be divided into half. It will be taxed at 5%, 50%, and 50% will be taxed at 12.5%. So in this way, broad way, the taxation of the works contract, which is what you say by the method of actual expenses, that will be done. Then, if it is a fixed percentage, so where the proper evaluation of expenses, now all these expenses which are there, it may not be necessary that the profit and loss account or what you say the dealer may be able to point out all these expenses. So where it is not possible, a fixed percentage of deduction is prescribed, which ranges from 15% to 40%. They have given a series of what you say contracts, that in this contract 15%, in this contract 20%, in this contract 25%. So some series has been given. Some activities enlisted in the table. For example, installation of plant and machinery, 15% deduction is to be granted. Painting 20%, pipeline 20%. So in such a way, 100 out of 100 rupees, let us say pipeline work is there, then 20% will be the deduction. So 20 rupees you have to minus 80 rupees which will be there. That will be the taxable value, and that taxable value then can be taxed. So we have to determine the value which is related to the supply of goods. So this is the second method to find out the value which is related to the supply of goods. Now, construction contract of flats, particularly the developers which are there. Now, in that, there are three main deductions which are to be granted. First is the cost of land, because along with the flat, the land is also being transferred. So the first is the cost of the land, and that cost of the land is to be determined as the schedule of rates of that particular year in which the agreement is signed. So land cost needs to be deducted from the total value. Then labor, for labor, 30% deduction is to be granted, because for construction contracts, 30% is the deduction, that fixed percentage method which is there. So 30% deduction needs to be granted. So let us say out of 100 rupees, if 100 rupees is the cost of flat, and let us say 20 rupees is the cost of the land. So 100 minus 20, 80 rupees will remain. Then from this 80 rupees, 30% will be treated as labor. So 24 rupees again will be deducted from this 80 rupees. So that will 56 rupees will remain. Now still there will be one more deduction. One more deduction is the stage-wise deduction. That means the stage during which that agreement is signed. For example, plinth level is there, foundation level is there, concrete that slab level is there. So there are different stages have been given in the act, in the rules. So for each they have mentioned a deduction. So for example, now if plinth level is there, let us say they have said 15% deduction is to be granted. So when the building is at plinth level, at that time the agreement has been signed between the builder and the customer. So 15% deduction for stage wise needs to be granted to him, because the transfer of property has prior to agreement has already taken place. So that will not be taxed. So 15% of 56 rupees, that means approximately 8 or 9 rupees further deduction will be granted out of that 56 rupees. So 56 minus 9 means 47, something like that. So 47 rupees will then be taxed in the ratio of the purchases, So that will be taxed, and that will be the tax which the dealer or the contractor will have to pay, the builder will have to pay. Out of that, then set-off will be granted, that is further part. But the tax which needs to be worked out is like this. So first is land deduction, second is labor deduction, third is the stage-wise deduction. All these three deductions need to be granted for a builder developer. Then composition method, that means the easier method. If the what you'd say contractor is not willing to what you'd say maintain the books of account as per the VAT Act, then some composition schemes have also been granted. So, for example, up to 20th June 2006, for all contracts they have mentioned that 8% will be the tax rate. That is the simplest method. Then other contracts which are after 20th June, there are two parts: construction contract and non-construction contract. Prior to 20th June, all contracts are 8%. But after 20th June 2006, they have divided into two parts: construction contracts and non-construction contracts. So construction contract will be 8%. Non-construction contract will be 8% and construction contract will be 5%. So like this, they have divided the contracts and the tax rates also. So this is the simpler part, but for them, for these any set-off will also be reduced proportionately. Means for construction contract, there will be a separate set-off percentage which needs to be reduced. For non-construction contract, there will be a separate percentage which needs to be reduced. And for construction of flat buildings, 1% is the tax rate from what you say 1st April 2010. Prior to 1st April 2010, that method of deductions which I mentioned, land deduction, then what you say labor deduction and stage-wise deduction, that needs to be taken into account. But after 1/4/2010, 1% is the simplest part without set-off. No. But that is only for builder developers, sir. For flat. So construction contracts are notified by the government by notification. So there is a separate notification. I have not taken that in details. For example, building, road, dams, all these are construction contracts. Or there is one more what you'd say line which is mentioned, that if a contract, suppose if now this building is there, now the construction contract of this building has been granted. Further, there are some changes or there are some minute what you'd say modifications. If that contract of that modification, if it is granted before the completion of this building, then also it is covered under that construction contract. It has been specifically mentioned in the notification. Incidental and ancillary. So then ongoing work contract. Now VAT Act was introduced from 1/4/2005. So prior to that, the contracts which were there, the execution of those contracts, if it still remains under the VAT era, then section 96 is there. It states that the tax rate which was prevailing at the time of the grant of the contract, that will be the tax rate even for the receipt of the contract after the VAT is introduced. Even after the VAT is introduced, then also the tax rate will be remaining the same for the contracts which were in execution at the time of VAT, but which were granted earlier to VAT. So that is the section 96, and what you say, tax will be payable at the same rate, and there will be no grant of set-off, because prior to VAT, there was no grant of set-off. There was basically composition schemes were there, so there will be no grant of set-off under the ongoing works contract. Then set-off, I have tried to explain that if that deduction, what you say, method is taken into account, 58(1), then full set-off is there. That expenses method, actual expenses method, if it is there, then full set-off is there. But if these composition rates are there, then these are the reductions which need to be taken into account. while calculating the set-off. For example, if the tax rate is 8%, then 64% of the set-off, and if that needs to be taken into account, then tax at the rate of 5%, then 4% reduction is to be taken into account. And for 1% builder developer, there is no set-off. Then tax invoice, whether tax invoice can be issued for the composition schemes under works contract. I am specifically talking about works contract because under the composition scheme under VAT, for other composition schemes, they cannot issue a tax invoice. But for works contract, the contractor cost for composition scheme can issue tax invoice and recover the tax at the rate of 5% or 8%. 5% for construction contract, 8% for non-construction contract. The composition amount is included in the definition of tax. Subcontractor can issue tax invoice, collect tax, but no set-off is allowed to the contractor because contractor and subcontractor both are jointly and severally liable for the payment of tax. Then interstate work contract. For example, if there is a contract between two states, dealers of two states, then as per section 2G2 of the CST Act, interstate work contract is treated as sale. So it is covered by the term sale only. Honorable Supreme Court decision I have mentioned, by that it will be liable to the provisions of the CST Act. Then TDS. There is a provision for TDS also under the Works Contract Act. Works Contract Act as well as Works Contract transactions after VAT also. So TDS is just like employer and employee. In income tax, that same provision is there for works contract also. The person who gives the contract is known as the employer and the person who executes it is known as the employee. So a similar provision is made that deduction is to be made on the date of payment or credit, and if the total payment during a financial year is more than 5 lakhs, then these TDS provisions are attractive. So TDS is not applicable on the amount of tax, no TDS on subcontract, and the payment of TDS is to be done by the employer within 21 days from the expiry of the month of deduction. And if it does not pay, then interest also is payable on that late payment. So what are the rates of TDS? For registered dealers, contractors, it is 2%. For unregistered prior to 30th April 2012, it is 4%, and from 1st May 2012, it is 5% TDS. Then whether exemption from TDS is possible? Yes, exemption from TDS is possible if the aggregate amount payable if the aggregate amount payable to a dealer is less than 5 lakh in a financial year, no tax at source is to be deducted. Also, if pure labor contract is there, because only for works contract transaction, that means the contract involving labor as well as goods, in that only the TDS provision is there. Then ACADM may issue a certificate in response to an application of the dealer that the contract is not works contract, then TDS is not required. So in that case only this TDS provision will not be there. Now what are the forms? Now, as you might be knowing that the principal contractor and the subcontractor both are jointly and severally liable for the payment of tax. So if one pays the tax, the second will not be paying the tax on that value. So for this, there are forms which are to be issued. So the certificate regarding the payment by the principal contractor, that is form 406, and declaration by the principal contractor is form 409. So these two forms have to be submitted by the principal contractor to the assessing officer if he needs the deduction for the amount and forms that will be issued by the subcontractor is it is form 407 and 408. So if the let's say this is issued by the subcontractor, then the contractor will not pay the tax on that amount. Then work contract for builder, the taxable event which is there is the agreement to sell the flat before the completion of the building, and the property is transferred. The period is 20th June 2006. So 20th June 2006, that amendment was brought into effect because of K. Raheja, and from there the builders are liable to pay the tax. So from 20th June 2006 to 31st March 2010, there is no composition scheme. So the contractors have to pay either by that expenses method or by that other method. From 1st April 2010, that 1% scheme which is there, that comes into effect. That is optional. So I mentioned it further in the slide also. So from 20th June 2006 to 31st March, what are the methods? This also I have enlisted. One is the composition method, the second is the actual expense method, and the third is the standard deduction method. So whichever method the builder opts for, he can be taxed under these three. And from 1st April 2010, there will be one additional option which will be available to the builder. So that is 1%, and the other methods which are there, the three methods which are there, they will also be available to the builder. So generally they opt for 1%. That is why I mentioned that 1%, but these methods are also there. So what are the important judgments of this works contract? The first is the Builder Association of India. That is the first and the most important judgment, that states cannot levy WCT on the entire consideration, but only on the valuable consideration received in respect of goods transferred. Then second is the Gagnon Dhankali, and the formula for calculating the value of goods by deducting the various charges towards the labor and services, that is given. The third is NM Goel. Now, what does this NM Goel state is that in many cases, PWD or some agency, they supply the cement or the steel to the contractor. They give the contract to the contractor, but they also say that cement will be supplied by PWD or steel will be supplied by PWD. So in such contracts, the supply of cement by the employer to the employee, that will also be treated as a sale. That will be treated as a sale. So if PWD supplies cement to the contractor, then PWD has sold cement to the contractor. That will be another sale. And the contract price which is there, which will be inclusive of the cement, that will be the contract value for the levy of tax from the contractor to the government, PWD. So that is what it states basically in NM Goel. Which is there, that work contract include any type of agreement wherein the construction of a building took place for valuable consideration. Then Micron construction, the validity of composition scheme was upheld by that judgment. It says that there is only one sale, that is from the subcontractor to the employer and not multiple transactions, but this has further been modified. So Silpi Construction, Kerala High Court, timber and plywood are not used in the same form but in some other form. So if what you say, there is a transfer of property in door, it is not timber. There will be the levy of tax will be, the tax rate will be the levy of that door value. The tax rate will be the rate on that door, not on the timber or plywood. Then cone elevator, contract of erection and installation of lift is a contract of sale and not work contract. Then Matoshri Textile, that is a famous judgment of Honorable Mumbai High Court, that even if there is a small percentage of goods in which property is transferred, for example in dyeing, there is a very minute, what you'd say, value out of 100 rupees, only 5% value there is a 5% transfer of the property in goods in 5% of the value. Then also that is a worse contract, and that will be covered by the definition of worse contract. That is what Matoshi Textile says. Then L&T depreciation and other expenses are allowed as deduction. So if you consider the actual deductions method, in that they have given that depreciation is also allowed as deduction. Okay. 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 It has been changed. Okay. Yes, thanks. Sorry, I have prepared the PPT within my limitations of only one day. So NCC SMS unity in that composition method, once opted, cannot be changed by revised return, and in that pure profit of contractor is taxable under composition. That is what is mentioned. That earlier L&T judgment which was there, that there is only one contract, one sale only, but here that has been overruled. Then Nikhil Comforts, there are not many what you say cases pertaining to the levy of tax on service tax. So this is one of the judgments, but the department has not what you say accepted those judgments. Then the DDQ of Sujata Painter, that service tax forms part of the sale price and is taxed accordingly. So it is a DDQ, it is not a judgment. Now, Luxury Tax Act. Now, Luxury Tax Act basically, these appeals of luxury tax don't come to the tribunal. So still, if you want, I will continue, or we will go to some other act. We'll check. There are about 5 or 10 slides of luxury tax. So, now, the Maharashtra sales tax on the transfer of right to use, so that lease tax transaction which was there, which was also what she said due to the 46th constitutional amendment bill that was mentioned. So that is a act which was there, which has been brought in 1985. As you might be knowing that 46th constitutional amendment took place in 1983, and this was one of the acts by the state government which has been brought after that constitutional amendment. So here the dealer, that I stated the definition. The dealer means any person, whether for commission, remuneration or otherwise, transfers the right to use any goods for any purpose, whether or not for a specified period, for cash, deferred payment or other valuable consideration, and includes the state government or the central government which so transfers the right to use such goods, and also any society, club or association of persons transfers the right to use such goods to its members. So it is basically right to use any goods that is brought into then explanation in respect of the transfer of the right to use cinematographic films or video cassettes. Specific that explanation has been mentioned over there. The person who transfers such right to the exhibitor or the user, and from whom the exhibitor or the user derives the right to make such use, shall be deemed to be the dealer under this clause. So for cinematography, this specific explanation has been inserted into the Right to Use Goods Act. So goods means all kinds of movable property, not external claims or money or stock, shares or securities. Then what do you mean by the term sale in this act? Sale means the transfer of the right to use any goods for any purpose, whether or not for a specified period, for cash, deferred payment or any other valuable consideration, and the word sale with all its grammatical variations and congruent expression shall be construed accordingly. For the purpose of this clause, the transfer of the right to use any such goods shall be deemed to have taken place in the state of Maharashtra if the goods are in the state of Maharashtra. If the goods are in the state of Maharashtra at the time of their use, irrespective of the place where the agreement for such transfer of the right to use such goods is made. Now, there is a famous judgment of 20th century leasing finance, which was by the Honorable Supreme Court, in which they had mentioned that the place where the agreement is signed, that will be the place where the lease tax will be paid. But after that, this amendment was brought and to say this has been mentioned that where the goods are, if they are in the state of Maharashtra, they will be taxed under the right to use. The sale price means the amount of valuable consideration received or receivable for the transfer of the right to use any goods for any purpose, whether or not for a specified period. And this tax which is there, that will be specified in the gazette from time to time at the different rates. So the famous judgment which has been which was there, that is the 20th century leasing finance versus the state of Maharashtra civil appeal number this. So basically the principles under the CST Act, if there are interstate transactions, the CST Act section 3, 4 and 5, that will determine where that status of sale is there. And for others, what they have mentioned is that in the case of goods in existence, the place where the agreement of lease is executed, and in the case of future goods which are not uncertain, at the time of written contract or implied agreement, the place where the goods are delivered. So this was the judgment which was given by the Honorable Supreme Court. Then there are two more judgments which I have mentioned, that Dukes and Sons Private Limited, for intangible property such as trademark, by mere permission, transfer by mere permission in writing is sufficient to make it taxable under the Lease Act. It is not necessary to give control or physical possession of the trademark to the assessee. Then State of Tripura versus Tripura Bus Syndicate, there is one judgment which is there. Higher charges received from the election authority for the vehicles requisition and used for the purpose of elections under the powers granted by the Representation of the People's Act held as sale. Earlier, there was a single judge decision in that same mailing state of Tripura only, but which was reversed by the division bench. Then the Maharashtra tax on the entry of motor vehicles. So entry tax for motor vehicles. This is the third act which is there. So it has come into force on the 30th day of September 1987. Now, why this entry tax has been brought is that the other states, there was a trade war between states, and so every state was trying to reduce the rate of tax to garner the business, and so that they could get more business. So because of this, the neighboring state, if the tax rate on the motor vehicle was less, then people what used to do is that they used to purchase the vehicle from there and then they used to bring it over to the state of Maharashtra. So to nullify that effect, this entry tax on motor vehicles was brought, and entry tax on goods also is there. There are two acts. So this is the first one for the motor vehicles. It shall be deemed to have come into force on the 30th day of September 1987. Now the definition which are of importance, that only I have taken. Accessories means the car air conditioner, music system, and any other article fitted to a motor vehicle and which is not included in the original invoice, because that purchase value which is there, that needs to be taxed. So to determine the correct purchase value, this accessories value needs to be added to the original invoice if it is not included. Appellate authority means an appellate authority appointed under Section 5, and appellate tribunal means the Maharashtra Sales Tax Tribunal constituted under Section 11 of the Maharashtra Value Added Tax Act. And designated officer means designated to be the designated officer. Then dealer in motor vehicles. So dealer in motor vehicle means a person whose principal business is of buying, selling, or both buying and selling motor vehicles. Then entry of motor vehicles into a local area. This is the main thing which is there on which tax will be levied, with all its grammatical variations and cognate expression means entry of motor vehicles into a local area from any place outside the state, but not being a place outside the territory of the Union of India for use, consumption, or as the case may be, sale thereon. Then importer means a person who brings or causes to be brought motor vehicle into a local area from any place outside the state and not being a place outside the territory of the Union of India for use, not for use, consumption, or the case may be the sale therein. And so only for three purposes this entry tax is there: for use, consumption, or for sale. And who owns the vehicle at the time of entry into the local area. So, motor vehicle means a motor vehicle as defined in clause 28 of the section 2 of the Motor Vehicles Act and includes. So this is an inclusive definition: motor cars, motor taxi cabs, motorcycles, motorcycle combinations, motor scooters, motorettes, motor omnibuses, motor vans, motor lorries, chassis of motor vehicles and bodies, or tankers, tankers built or meant for mounting on the chassis of motor vehicles. Then purchase value, because the purchase value will be the most important thing, means the value of motor vehicle as ascertained from the original invoice and includes the value of accessories fitted to the vehicle, excise and countervailing duties. Provided that where the purchase value of a motor vehicle is not ascertainable, means he has not produced the bill before you, on account of non-availability or non-production of the original invoice, or when the invoice produced is proved to be false, or if the motor vehicle is acquired or obtained otherwise than by way of purchase. So I am transferring to my relative, so there is no bill. Then the purchase value shall be the value or the price at which the motor vehicle or the kind or quality is sold or is capable of being sold in the open market. So open market value will be considered. So there shall be levied and collected a tax on the purchase value of motor vehicle, and entry of which is effected into a local area for use, consumption, or as the case may be, sale thereon, and which is liable for registration for which an assignment of a new registration mark is required. For example, now I am an employee staying in Goa. I have purchased a scooter over there. I am transferred to the state of Maharashtra. So when I am transferred to the state of Maharashtra, if I am bringing the scooter, that scooter needs to be registered once again. So for that also, what they have mentioned is, or the case may be, for which an assignment of a new registration mark is required. So even when the employee or any person who has got a vehicle, if he brings the vehicle to another state, then also this to the state of Maharashtra, then also this entry tax provisions come into effect. It is required to be obtained by the state under the Motor Vehicles Act at such rates or rates as may be fixed by the state government by notification in the official gazette, but not exceeding the rates prescribed for the motor vehicles in the schedules appended to the MVAT Act, or 15 paisa of the rupee, whichever is less. So if the tax rate in Maharashtra is 12.5%, the maximum rate of entry tax will be 12.5%. But it can be reduced, provided no tax will be levied and collected in respect of motor vehicles which were registered in any Indian territory or made for a period of 30 months or more. So this entry tax which is there, if I am bringing it within a period of 30 months of its purchase, then only this entry tax provisions come into effect. The tax will be payable and paid by importer within 15 days from the entry of the motor vehicle into the local area, or before an application is made for the registration of the vehicle or for obtaining the assignment of a new registration mark under the motor vehicle. the tax shall be in addition to the tax levied and collected as octroi by a municipal corporation, municipal council, Zilla Parishad, Panchayat Samiti or village panchayat. And the most important, the amount of tax leviable under this act shall subject to such condition as may prescribed be reduced to the extent of the amount of tax paid, if any, under the law relating to the general sales tax or the central sales tax as may be enforced in that any other state. So, suppose if I have purchased that motor vehicle in the state of Goa and I have paid, let us say, CST at the rate of 2% over there. So, when I levy the entry tax over here, that 12.5% minus 2% which he has paid over there, that 10.5% only entry tax will be there. Then an appeal from every original order under this act or the rules made thereunder shall lie to the appellate authority appointed under section 5. In the case of an order passing appeal by the appellate authority, a second appeal shall lie to the appellate tribunal. Then no appeal against the order of assessment with or without penalty or against order imposing a penalty or interest shall ordinarily be entertained by appellate authority or the appellate tribunal unless such appeal is accompanied by a satisfactory proof of the payment of tax with penalty or interest, or in the case may be of the payment of penalty or interest in respect of which appeal has been preferred, provided that appellate authority or appellate tribunal may, if it thinks fit and for reasons to be recorded in writing, entertain appeal against such order on payment of not less than 25% of the tax amount. So these are the three judgments which are there for the tax for motor vehicles. Popatola Mohanlal Choradia, excavators are motor vehicles as per that judgment, and Buse Abraham, excavators and road rollers are motor vehicles. In Tata Power Company, place outside the state includes a foreign country, and import of specified goods is liable to entry tax. This is what the three judgments which I could get hold of. And entry of goods into the local area. So first was for motor vehicles, this is for other goods. So other goods which are generally covered in this schedule, they are the motor spirits, and there are two more goods which are there: air conditioners and tiles. So particularly the builders which are there, in those cases this air conditioners or tiles may be there. They may import it, and entry taxes to be levied for such goods. So it shall be deemed to have come into force on the 1st October 2002. The basic principle of entry, that is the same for motor vehicles as well as for goods. If you try to understand the provision, they are quite similar. So entry of goods with all the grammatical variations means entry of goods to a local area from any place outside the state for consumption, use or sale therein. General Sales Tax Act means because that reduction of tax which is there, either he has paid the tax under the General Sales Tax Law in the other state, or he has paid the tax under the CST Act. So General Sales Tax Act means the sales tax law in force in any other state which provides for the levy of taxes on the sale or purchase of goods generally or on any specified goods expressly mentioned in that behalf, or any class of transaction expressly specified in that behalf. And goods vehicle which is there, which is not of, that is for cross-check purpose. And import with all its grammatical variations and cognate expression means bringing or causing to be brought or receiving any goods into local area from a place outside the state. Then importer. So importer is also a person who imports any goods whether on his own account or on account of a principal or any other person into a local area for consumption, use or sale therein. Then local area is also being defined. So that same definition is there even under the entry tax for the motor vehicles also, this local area. Then value of the goods. Value of the goods means the purchase value of the imported goods, that is the purchase price at which the goods have been purchased, inclusive of the cost cost of transportation, tracking, forwarding. एक 5 मिनटात मी कवर करतो. I'll finish it off. And pending charges, commission, insurance, taxes, etc. So all this will be inclusive of that in the value of goods. So data of tax and all this, I'll forgo it because it is same any. The last act which is there, I'm sorry I have to rush through it. Motor spirit. The Bombay Sales of Motor Spirit Taxation Act. So this is one more act which is there from 1958 onwards. So here also importer means a person who carries on the trade of importing motor spirit into the state of Maharashtra, and it is not motor spirits. It is a similar law which is based, and in this law only the difference is that instead of the word commissioner, the word collector has been used. So collector, deputy collector, and what would say, those words have been used instead of this, and it is a similar what we say, and instead of the word say registration certificate, license word has been used. So all the provisions which are there, they are similar to other acts also. So I have prepared the PPT accordingly. I'll share the PPT. I'll finish off my this session for this. Thanks a lot to all of you for a patient hearing. I'm sorry, Ani, but I had to rush through it.